Is it on now?
Coming through up here.
No? Working now?
Try it again.
You have audio now?
There.
Okay. All right. Apologize. We're having some technical audio difficulties. We're rolling now with the audio. So welcome to the Mayor's press conference for October. Just wanted to try a new format here. Traditionally, we've done our monthly updates on SMU, and we thought we could continue to do that with SMU, but also live on social media as well to reach more people. So I just wanted to start with economic development. Wanted to let you know that there's still interest in businesses coming to town. We're currently in the process of trying to accommodate those interests. Activity is still happening as normal, even though we are in the middle of the COVID pandemic. We're also seeing expansion of businesses locally. If you notice downtown, there's been several building purchases by new owners, renovations of those buildings. Some have owners who are currently operating in those buildings, and some have owners who have remodeled or are in the process of remodeling that are looking for new tenants. And so if you were to look at the landscape of our downtown district a year ago, it looks very different than it does today, and we are excited about the continued expansion and investment in those buildings downtown and seeing new businesses open up downtown. You're also seeing expansion of current businesses in the industrial and commercial side of things. At our last press conference, or at our last council meeting rather, we did approve the sale of some land to Schoenemann's on the north end of town. We're excited for their potential expansion and upgrades in their business. On the residential side of things, we're seeing development continue to occur in town, which is exciting. There are parts of the region in northwest Iowa, as you know, that are flat or declining, where expansion is very difficult. We see vibrancy in our housing market. The thing that excites me the most is the wide range of values that are going up. So we see everything from brand new higher end houses to condo type situations to affordable housing. At the last council meeting, we just approved the final plot development for the IGL project out on the west end of town by the sheriff's station. Those are going to be affordable houses, a little smaller footprint. And so if a family or individuals are looking for a housing solution, we have a great option for existing homes that are on the market, but also new construction in a wide range of different prices and formats. We're also seeing the development down by the South Park Mall enter its second phase, and so we have a lot of new housing availability coming online, and we want to thank those developers for investing in our community and continuing to expand our residential base. We are pushing the council, the long-term planning committee, as well as the economic development committee to look at where we need to put financial incentives as it relates to developments, both on the industrial commercial side as well as the housing development side. So pay attention in 2021. I think you'll see some new programs or some adjustments to current programs coming down the pipeline. I just wanted the citizens to know that we're constantly looking at that, evaluating that, and seeing where we can best invest our money as your local government to help continue to move the town forward. We just completed our Park and Recreation Master Plan. It's gone through the Park Board, it's gone through the adoption of the City Council, and the Park Director, Jared, and his staff are working very hard to try to prioritize the things that were identified in that plan. We're putting some pen to paper, or pencil to paper if it will, and trying to combine some projects and put together a 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan to execute those projects. We believe that investment in quality of life in a community has to be a top priority. It's one thing to be able to provide housing in a community, but it's another thing to also provide amenities that lead to quality of life. And Spencer's done a great job in the last 25 years investing in our trail system and expanding the total number of acres in our park system. And now we're looking at projects related to potentially a new campground. There's been interest in a splash pad development, some interest in some wayfaring signs and some navigational assistance as it relates to our park system and our trails. And so as we continue to go through that process, we will have opportunities for individuals and families and businesses to invest in those plans. Once we get those formulated, we will have the opportunity to take a partnership perspective from your local government tax dollars and the private sector dollars, marry those two together and pull off some significant projects, I think, that could have 15, 20, and even 50-year sustainability to them. So we're excited to see those quality of life initiatives move forward. As we transition into winter, we're in the heart of fall, even though today it probably won't feel like it. I think Corey and I were talking 86, 7, 8, something like that as a forecast today, which could break the record, which is 82, I believe. Is that right, Corey? 84 is the current record. So while it feels really warm, in a week or two, it's going to probably feel really cold. And so with that, we would just remind you to please take the proper protocols as we come into winter. If you have pets outside, please make sure that they're taken care of. If you have elderly neighbors, please keep an eye on them to make sure that they're okay coming into the cold weather. Mark White, our Public Works Director, updated us at the last council meeting. We've procured our salt and sand to start the season. We don't really want to think about that, but before long, those intersections are going to be pretty slippery in the mornings, and so pay attention and adjust your driving skills accordingly. If you walk, jog, exercise either in the mornings or in the evenings, I would encourage you to take the proper safety protocols. Please invest in some lights and safety equipment so that people can see you. I'd like to touch a little bit on Grand Avenue. We have 3 different places, I believe, and a couple other spots in town where there are lights that you can push to cross these busy streets. The proper driving protocol, if you see the amber lights flashing, it means somebody is either about to, has, or is in the process of crossing that intersection. And even though those lights are amber, and in a stoplight situation, amber means yield and proceed with caution, we really would like the drivers to actually stop and identify who's crossing, where they're at, make sure it's safe, instead of just yielding. We had a serious accident on the south end of town. Luckily, that person is going to be okay, but they were thrown from their bike, ended up in the hospital, and the lights were flashing. And so we can prevent that as being aware as drivers to make sure that we're following the right protocols. If you have a child who goes to school and crosses these busy streets, please encourage them when they go across to use the lights. Don't wait for an opening and try to dash across. We've invested in public safety in those lights, and we would like to use them. I do get asked if we have to stop, why are they yellow and not red? The Department of Transportation prohibits red flashing lights unless they are at a stoplight. Obviously, they're solid colored, not flashing, but red can only be used in a stoplight situation. That's why they're amber. But the proper protocol, again, is to stop, identify who's in the intersection, and proceed with caution. Grand Avenue lights, I'd like to have the citizens take some time as it's darker earlier to get out downtown and enjoy the lights. The Main Street District and their investment partners have put in some significant time and effort to make our downtown beautiful, especially in the evenings, and the color patterns can change on those lights. And so you'll see some different themes throughout the course of the evenings with the lights. For example, when the hospital recently did the breast cancer awareness walk, those lights were lit up pink. We've seen them lit up purple and yellow, gold, if you will, on game nights for the Tigers. And we look forward to the holiday season and the ability to do that. So we'd like to thank all of the building owners for cooperating in that project, as well as all of the investors who have donated to that project, and I believe there's still some room to make some donations to that project as well. So thank you for everyone who has invested in that. Voting, absentee voting is now open at the courthouse. You can still obviously get a mail-in ballot, but if you'd like to vote absentee, you can do that at the courthouse, at the administrative building, in the down at Marge Pitts' office area there. It'd be on the north part of the building when you walk in. And the reason for this is being in the COVID pandemic, the county is encouraging everyone to vote early if you can, to try to reduce the number of people who are going to attend on election day. It's the same machine, it's the same process. You can just take the time and go vote early. That is open and an option for everyone now. COVID, I wanted to give you an update on COVID-19 in our community and in our region. We continue to meet daily as a task force, which includes the county, public health, the hospital, police department, fire department, mayors of the outlying towns, supervisors, and Elderbridge. Shelley is on there, as well as some other organizations. Eric Tigas from the Emergency Management System, and Tammy McKeever. And so we meet daily just to discuss what's happening, and I'd like to touch on a trend that we see right now that we've discussed recently, and that is the uptick in positive cases as well as the uptick in hospitalizations. Hospitalizations are up in our region two ways. One, just general hospitalizations, as well as those hospitalized due to COVID. In the last 2 weeks, we've seen an uptick in positive cases at a faster pace than we have really seen previously through this pandemic. And this is concerning for a couple of reasons. When we started the protocols as a nation to try to limit the spread of COVID, it was to reduce the impact on the healthcare system. And a lot of attention was paid to that early. We haven't had a lot of media attention on that, except for yesterday or 2 days ago, a report out of Washington, D.C. identified Iowa as one of the hot spots in the country for COVID-19 increases, and especially northwest Iowa has a couple cities, ours being one of them, that's included is red zone areas of concern. And so you will see in the near future a cooperative effort between the local governments and the Clay County Board of Health when it comes to advisement of how to conduct ourselves, what we need to do to limit the spread of COVID. And everyone wants to get back to normal as fast as possible. We can still do normal activities if we take the proper protocols to protect ourselves. I've been asked, why should I wear a mask? Masking is obviously one of the first steps you can take to try to prevent the spread of COVID. I liken it to when I put my seatbelt on in the car. I haven't been in a car accident in over 20 years, but I put my seatbelt on every day. And I do that to try to protect myself and others that I would be riding with if we do have a serious situation, we have the best chance possible to get out of that situation in a positive light. And I believe it's the same way with COVID. We've seen a peak, I would say, 2 months ago in mask wearing and awareness and distancing, social distance within 6 feet, past 6 feet. In the last month or so, we've seen a backing off of that. So, we've seen some businesses that had mandated masks, they're not anymore. And, I think in the general public, a lot of times it's 50-50 at best that we see masks being worn. And so masking is important because it's one step that we can just do in our daily lives to try to help prevent the spread of COVID. So pay attention in the next month, maybe 2 months. Dr. Keith on our call yesterday had mentioned that it's 6 to 12 months probably before a vaccine is available. Once a vaccine hits, it's a game changer and we can be protected. But we really, especially coming into winter, want to try to slow the community spread of COVID. I'll touch on community spread really quickly. Earlier, when the students went back to college, we saw spikes in specific areas. So Iowa City, Ames, the Des Moines area where the larger universities are, we saw a significant uptick in young people who tested positive, partly because more tests were being done, but also the gathering and mixing that was happening from a social perspective at these places. In Spencer and Clay County specifically, we're not seeing an isolated age demographic that we can pinpoint, here's where the increase is coming from, or here are the behaviors or activities where the spread is coming from. We see it across all different demographics. The genders are about equal, and what that means is we have general community spread with the virus. And so it's important that we attack the spread as a community and not just try to isolate it down into one specific sector. So we appreciate everyone's patience trying to keep the community safe. We're all, a bit jaded. We thought this thing would be over in 90 days. We're still long into the journey, and we'll continue that journey through winter. So just wanted to give you an update on that. Final note on COVID, as it relates to mask mandates, that's probably the number one question I get from people who are passionate about protection and or passionate about their civil liberties. Here is the answer on local governments and mask mandates. We do not have the ability as a city nor a county to pass legally an ordinance that would require everyone to wear a mask. And the reason we can't do that is the governor is still operating under a pandemic proclamation, which gives her the superpowers to supersede the Constitution of the state of Iowa. So essentially what that means is normally we have the ability as a local government to pass any type of law or ordinance that is not specifically stated in the state constitution that we can or can't do. We would have the ability to do this normally if the council wanted to pass a mask mandate for those in public. We are prohibited because, as I said previously, the governor's powers supersede ours in this situation because of her emergency proclamation. So what we can do is strongly encourage the use of masks. I'm not wearing one right now for the press conference because we have social distance in the chambers right now and nobody is directly exposed to me. You'll notice during our council meetings I do wear a mask, and that's because we have people in the chambers close enough to each other that we need to do that. We're within 6 foot of each other sometimes. So again, that's the breakdown on where we're currently at with COVID. That's the breakdown on whether we can or can't have a mask mandate. But as the mayor of your community, I would strongly encourage you to put all of the safety protocols in place within your family unit as well as when you're in public to try to prevent the spread of COVID-19. It is a real disease, a real virus. It's not a hoax. There are people significantly impacted by it. The studies that are coming out now, Dr. Keith had mentioned on our call yesterday, long-term lung damage from even asymptomatic carriers. So you might have tested positive, never been, knocked down with it, never, felt sick, but they're seeing now in lung x-rays of people even who were asymptomatic lung damage. And so we just want to try to inform people and encourage safety to the best of our ability. And so with that, at our next press conference, I will have a guest or two with me. We'll hear from their perspective on some events and things that are happening in our community. We appreciate the attention that gets paid to city government. We hear from a lot of community members. This is a great place to serve as a local leader as well as live, and we take pride, I think, in trying to address all of the concerns that come into City Hall. So we encourage you, if you have a concern, to reach out via email or phone to any of the staff or elected officials. And with that, I would wish you a great weekend. It's Friday. Get out, enjoy the warm weather. Probably the warmest weekend probably until spring. And stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless. Yeah.